Chapter 28. Grim Discovery. In the dimly lit safe house, Emma and her mysterious ally, now known to her as Alexei Ivanov, the secret son of the Russian president, worked tirelessly. The room was filled with an intense energy as they pieced together the information that would expose the Nexusar's global conspiracy. Alexei, with his deep knowledge of international espionage and his access to classified information, was an invaluable asset. His revelations about the scale of the abductions and the true intentions of the Nexusars had given Emma a new perspective on the story she was chasing. Together, they pored over documents, decrypted files, and planned their strategy for leaking the information. Each piece of evidence they uncovered revealed more of the sinister web woven by the Nexusars. As they worked, Alexei's phone buzzed with an incoming message. He glanced at the screen, his expression turning grave. "It's a message from one of my contacts in the intelligence community," he said, his voice laced with concern. "The Nexusars are increasing their activity. They're planning something big, and soon." In the confines of the safe house, Emma turned to Alexei, her mind teeming with questions. "Alexei, can you find out how many people go missing each year in the United States and Great Britain?" she asked, her voice tinged with urgency. "It could give us a clearer picture of the scale of these abductions." Alexei nodded, his fingers flying over the keyboard as he accessed a secure database using the backdoor electronic connections provided by his father. The screen flickered with data, streams of numbers and statistics flowing across the interface. After a few moments of intense searching, Alexei turned to Emma, his expression somber. "In the United States, on average, about 600,000 people go missing each year. This includes both adults and children. Those are just the ones reported," he revealed, the enormity of the number hanging heavily in the air. Emma absorbed the figure, her mind racing with the implications. "And what about Great Britain?" she asked, dreading the answer. "Great Britain, the number is around 170,000 people reported missing each year, also encompassing both adults and children," Alexei responded, his voice steady despite the disturbing nature of the information. Emma leaned back, her thoughts swirling. The staggering numbers painted a grim picture of the scale of disappearances. "These figures, they're just the tip of the iceberg, aren't they?" she said, more to herself than to Alexei. Alexei nodded in agreement. "Yes, they are. And it's likely that a significant portion of these cases could be linked to the Nexusar's activities. We're looking at a global crisis, hidden in plain sight." The room fell silent as both Emma and Alexei contemplated the gravity of their discovery. The data, stark and unyielding, underscored the urgency of their mission. With each missing person, the shadow of the Nexusars grew longer, and the need to expose their nefarious actions became more critical. Within a sea of data on dimly lit screens, Emma and Alexei continued their deep dive into the disturbing statistics of missing persons. "Alexei, what about worldwide? How many people go missing globally each year?" Emma asked, her voice filled with fear at the answer. Alexei returned to his keyboard, his fingers moving quickly. After a moment, he looked up, his face grave. "It's estimated that over 1 million people go missing globally every year, though it is estimated to be 3 times that due to most nations not having the ability to track their population like the United States and Great Britain," he said solemnly. Emma felt a chill as she processed the staggering figure. 3 million people. That's like a good-sized city vanishing every year, she murmured. "Yes, and over a decade, that's 60 million people. It's incomprehensible," Alexei added, his eyes reflecting the seriousness of their conversation. "And yet there's no widespread alarm, no global outcry. It's as if these disappearances are happening in a vacuum." Emma leaned forward, her mind racing with the implications. 60 million people in 10 years. How has nobody wondered where all the bodies are? How has this not been a major point of investigation? Alexei sighed, the weight of the situation evident in his posture. "That's the terrifying part. It suggests a level of manipulation and control over information that's almost unfathomable. The Nexusars, with their influence, could be orchestrating a cover-up on a massive scale. "The silence is deafening," Emma said, her voice tinged with frustration. "It's like these people are being erased from existence, and the world just continues on." "The Nexusars' network must be vast and deeply entrenched," Alexei theorized. "They could be manipulating media, influencing governments, and using their technology to hide their tracks. It's a conspiracy of silence and shadows." Emma stood up, pacing the room. "We need to break this silence. We have to bring this to light, show the world what's happening. These people, they deserve to be remembered. They deserve justice." Alexei nodded in agreement. "And we'll do just that. We have the evidence, and we have the means to disseminate it. It won't be easy, and it'll be dangerous, but it's our responsibility." Their resolve solidified, Emma and Alexei set to work. They began compiling the data, creating a comprehensive report that would lay bare the extent of the disappearances and the Nexusars' involvement. As they worked, the realization of the enormity of their task settled in. They were not just fighting against a shadowy alien organization. They were battling against a conspiracy that had woven itself into the very fabric of global society. Emma felt a surge of adrenaline. "We need to act now," she said, her journalistic instincts in overdrive. "The world needs to know about this before it's too late." They decided to split up to cover more ground. Alexei would reach out to his contacts in the intelligence community and political circles, while Emma would use her journalistic network to disseminate the information as widely as possible. As Emma stepped out into the cool night, the gravity of her mission felt all too real. She knew that the moment they started leaking the information, they would be putting themselves in immense danger. The Nexusars, nor those who are put into power by them, with their far-reaching influence, would not take kindly to their actions. Emma moved through the shadows of the city, making her way to a secure location where she could safely broadcast the information. Her heart pounded with fear and excitement. This was the biggest story of her career, one that could change the course of history. Emma worked relentlessly, her fingers flying over the keyboard as she compiled and disseminated the startling data on global disappearances. The sun rose and set unnoticed as she distributed articles, sent out emails, and posted on various platforms, determined to break the silence surrounding the vanishing millions. Meanwhile, Alexei faced a wall of resistance that seemed insurmountable. His attempts to engage with government contacts were met with cold rebuffs or eerie silence. The relationships he had nurtured over the years crumbled in a matter of hours. It was as if a silent order had been passed down, turning allies into strangers. The realization dawned on him. He was being ostracized, cut off from the very circles he sought to influence. The isolation was not just social, it was physical. Alexei noticed the shadows that followed him, the unmarked cars that seemed to appear wherever he went. He was being stalked, hunted. The extent of the Nexusars' influence was becoming chillingly clear. They had infiltrated deeper into the fabric of human society than he had feared. Exhausted but hopeful, Emma finally leaned back in her chair as dawn crept through the windows. She had done all she could to ensure the information reached as many people as possible. But when she awoke from deep, deserved sleep, she checked for responses. Her heart sank. Her articles hadn't gained any traction. Her emails went unanswered. Her posts on social media seemed to vanish into the ether, as if she had been blocked on every platform simultaneously. In that moment, the full weight of their adversary's power hit her. She had been effectively silenced, her efforts to unveil the truth thwarted by an unseen, yet omnipresent force. The realization was a bitter pill to swallow. The control exerted by the Nexusars over humanity was more extensive and insidious than she had imagined. Alexei returned to the safe house, his expression grim. "They're closing in," he said quietly. "We're being watched, tracked. It's only a matter of time before they find us." Emma shared her own disheartening experience. "My work, all of it, it's like shouting into a void. They've blocked us, Alexei. We've been silenced." The gravity of their situation was inescapable. They were up against an entity that could manipulate information and influence global networks with terrifying efficiency. The alien control over humanity was not just a physical threat. It was a stranglehold on the very channels of communication and truth. In the safety of the safe house, Emma and Alexei faced a critical decision: to continue their fight in the shadows, risking their lives for a truth that seemed increasingly impossible to reveal, or to retreat and save themselves from the ever-tightening noose of the Nexusars. Their resolve, however, remained unshaken. "We can't give up," Emma said, her voice steady despite the despair. "We have to find another way, a means to bypass their control." Alexei nodded in agreement. "We'll go underground, use analog methods if we have to. There are still ways to spread the word, to fight back."